Nintendo is an evil company. I'm just going to come out of the gate swinging here, and I really don't care who this offends anymore because this has to be said. What was once a company that cared about the user experience and actually bucking the trend of giving players cheaper games compared to the alternative, while still being fun and engaging, that is long past us. So let's first talk about Palworld, then I'll go talk about everything else because this video will encompass a ton of what's wrong with modern Nintendo. As you likely know, they're in a lawsuit over several patents with Palworld, but Nintendo is also trying to destroy mods for their games and ruin that community as well. As seen here from IGN, Nintendo says mods don't count as prior art as they're not full games, attempting to sway judge in Palworld lawsuit. Don't you love Nintendo and how user-friendly they are? Wow, what a nice company over there, aren't they? So why would Nintendo be doing yet another scummy tactic for the 50th time? Well, essentially Palworld is trying to use mods that users have created for Palworld and other games as a reason to show that Nintendo's patents against them are not uniquely their own, because they would have already existed and have existed in plenty of other games outside of Palworld and before Nintendo even officially got the patents for these so-called gaming mechanics that they claim that they own. However, Nintendo is not buying that, instead saying that mods are not art and are not games because they require a base game in order to function. This makes no sense for a few reasons. One, this would mean that any DLC paid for by the user to the publisher is also not art or a game per se, because you need to own the original base game in order for it to, function. For example, any DLC that Nintendo makes would technically not be actual games if it's DLC that you had to pay for, but as IGN puts it here, this has raised eyebrows across the games industry and among Pokemon fans alike, with many suggesting it could have far-reaching consequences if accepted by a judge. And yeah, I agree. Nintendo has gone as far as wanting to take down the modding community in general just to destroy Palworld. Like, wow, what a super nice and friendly company that definitely doesn't just want to gain all of the profits for them alone. As Florian Mueller of GamesFray, who's been covering this Nintendo versus Palworld story from a legal perspective, said, as it reads here, games industry reporter and legal analyst Florian Mueller described the suggestion that gameplay ideas or innovations featured in mods were not viable as prior art as something that showed utter disregard for the enormous creativity of many mod makers. And I agree, because you see, mods are actually some of the reasons why you have what you have today. For example, the game Defense of the Ancients, or Dota 2 for short, was originally a mod for Warcraft 3, until eventually it would spin off and become its own game, which Dota 2 would actually become the founding game to create the genre known as MOBAs, or Massive Online Battle Arenas for short. You know League of Legends? Of course you do. Well, that game franchise wouldn't really exist without Dota 2 doing what it did, which would also not exist if it was not first a mod for Warcraft 3 years ago, which means that in Nintendo's eyes, Dota 2 then is not really a game or should not be considered art, nor should League of Legends, because they all originated from the ideas of a mod that was created in the first place. I'll give you another great example, Battle Royale games. You all know Fortnite and whatnot. Plenty of games have been doing the whole BR style of gameplay for a long time now. But how did BRs begin? Oh, that's right, it was a mod first as well. You see, Battle Royales were originally a mod created by Brendan Green, a game developer who went by Player Unknown. This Player Unknown would make Battle Royale as a mod for games like Arma 2 and DayZ, until eventually Brendan Green would make his own dedicated Battle Royale game called Player Unknown's Battlegrounds, obviously named after his own username. This would then become the foundation of Battle Royales, and since then, a lot of games have copied it. Yet unlike Nintendo, Brendan didn't exactly sue people for taking his concept, because you can't own a game concept. Because what it took for Brendan to reach what Battle Royale was in the first place only became what it was due to the iterative process of game development as a whole. Meaning that all of the incremental smaller changes over years that developers all over the world did in fine-tuning the shooting mechanics or the traversal, the graphic quality, etc., all of that would eventually lead to Battle Royale, or with Dota and its MOBA genre, to existing. Which means it wasn't just one person who owned Battle Royales or MOBAs, it was the natural evolution of game development across an entire industry over years. It's the same reason why From Software doesn't own Souls-likes. It's just a concept that was originally born from Metroidvanias and dungeon crawlers like Zelda, which they also obviously don't own. So with that history lesson out of the way for you, and hopefully you learned something, also consider liking the video, leaving a comment, and subscribing. Helps a lot, thank you. But anyways, Nintendo now believes that mods do not equate viable reasons to deter their lawsuit against Palworld, because mods are not games to them, when in reality, they are just as much games as anything else actually. But this does open the floodgates if Nintendo wins, because let me explain quite a bit. You see, if Nintendo were to win this and claim that mods are not games, it would ruin the authenticity of innovation in video games for the rest of time. So what do I mean by this? Well, if Nintendo were to win this particular angle of their argument legal-wise, it would mean significant consequences for mod creators and the modding community. Obviously, mods are made by players to add new content to pre-existing games, 99% of the time also for free. This would open mods up to what are called patent thieves, which are basically other people, or even entire companies, that in theory could exploit the ideas of mods and then rip them off into their own games and products without crediting the people who made the mod in the first place. And with Nintendo trying to push what they're pushing, they would make it so that bigger companies with deep pockets could then rip off these mods, not pay these people, and just steal their ideas and then even patent their ideas without their own consent, hence the whole patent thieves as a term, and then make the modding community, well, a verifiable mess. So why this is bad, and why Nintendo wants it to happen, is to 1, ruin Palworld, obviously, but 2, because if Nintendo were to convince the legal system that mods are not technically games or art because they need a base game to work, it would then allow Nintendo, or really any company with deep pockets, to then take these mods from creators, put them into their franchises, say Mario, Zelda, etc. And because now these mod ideas exist in an actual commercial product with licenses and whatnot, Nintendo could in theory then profit off of the mods made by users without crediting or paying them at all. And there would be no legal ramifications that could be placed against them because the idea is now in a protected IP game like Super Mario, and therefore they can't be sued now. Oh god, okay, so this is a long-winded way of saying that basically at the end of all of this, Nintendo is willing to quite literally destroy and light the entire modding community in flames to destroy Palworld and really any competition that also tries to copy any of their ideas, even a single iota. Pretty much. It's absolute supervillain behavior of the highest order. It's genuinely Lex Luthor Giga Brain, let's put kryptonite in the water supply so that we can end Superman kind of stuff. I mean, Nintendo would straight up just be able to protect themselves and their ideas by copyright patenting everything, by stealing it and then getting away with it because mods are not real games or art if they win this case. So this means that any game that does a mod that somehow resembles a Nintendo product to their game, they're now cooked. All the mod makers would be in a lawsuit. Nintendo would just bleed them all dry because they can't fight against them, financially. And then by proxy, they would win their Palworld lawsuit too. Is this bad? Oh, hell yeah, dude, it is. Like, I'm not gonna sugarcoat this turd fiesta for any of you. Nintendo is genuinely 100% an evil company now for sure. This company is being ran by actual legions of doomed supervillains now, and there's no point in denying it. But I mean, besides Palworld, let me convince you further, okay? Let's go look at Pokemon, right? Let me show you how scummy Nintendo is being lately to further solidify my point here for all of you that are watching. Remember when Pokemon Diamond and Pearl came out, and it was not even $50 at the time, yet the game surrounding it from other publishers on PlayStation and Xbox costed way more than that? Yeah, those were the days, weren't they, right? When Nintendo used to care about you. Maybe something happened. If I had to pinpoint exactly when, it's likely when Satoru Iwata passed away, God rest his soul, because that guy actually cared about the players and his employees. Remember how in 2011, Iwata, as seen here, took a voluntary pay cut of 50% in order to allocate that money from his position as CEO to ensure that his employees and his creative talent at Nintendo were being paid adequately and kept employed when Nintendo's profits weren't doing so hot due to the Wii U and stuff. Can you name me a single CEO that does something like that these days? Because current Nintendo would throw these devs to the wolves and then forget their names and then go enjoy a nice steak dinner with a glass of the finest wine instead. Probably shouldn't surprise me given that the new head of Nintendo over in America is a guy appropriately named Doug Bowser. And that's not a joke, by the way. Here's a picture of that guy right here. And Bowser and more have changed Nintendo, if you will, from the inside out compared to the Iwata days. I wonder why that is. Oh, right. It's because Doug Bowser, in case you don't know some lore behind him, but he used to work at EA. You know, Electronic Arts? Yeah, the same EA that had a CEO who Bowser worked under named John Riccitiello. That's this dummy on screen right here. Riccitiello, in case you don't know, was the guy who famously claimed that players should pay money in-game when playing stuff like Battlefield to reload their weapons in-game. Here's exactly what that former CEO said. When you are 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not that price sensitive at that point in time. And so essentially what ends up happening, and the reason the play first, pay later model works so nicely, is a consumer gets engaged in a property. They may spend 10, 20, 30, 50 hours in a game, and then when they're deep in the game, they're well invested in it. We're not gauging, but we're charging. So remember, this same Riccitiello guy was the one who ruined Unity Engine as well last year and tried to make developers pay through the nose for installs as well. And so Doug Bowser, who now runs Nintendo of America, he worked with this guy and adhered to his philosophy clearly. And I mean, how is Nintendo doing right now? Financially? I mean, they're doing great. Customer satisfaction, reputation-wise, however, they're in the dirt. I mean, let's go look at Pokemon Legends ZA or ZA, however you say it, who cares? The next game in that long series that's coming out in 2025. This game will feature new concepts like free-form combat in one giant city to explore instead of a region. Oh boy. It will also bring in many new Mega Evolutions to ensure your teams can stay competitive against other players. Nintendo has also announced that Pokemon Legends ZA will be getting the Mega Dimension DLC, which will star Mega Raichu as you're seeing on screen. Wow, Raichu looks great, doesn't it? Don't you want to play with Raichu? Well, sure, as long as you fork over $30 American on top of the already $80 for Pokemon Legends. Oh, what? You thought it was included? This isn't Iwata's Nintendo anymore. This is Doug Bowser now. So you better open your wallet and start paying up if you want the full experience at launch. And what's crazy though is that this Raichu DLC was announced before the game would release already, which means that this was content shaved off of Legends ZA or ZA on purpose by Nintendo and Game Freak so that they could sell it to you at a premium price point to make more money off of their diehard fans. Why would you announce DLC for a game that's not even out yet? It's because they think you're stupid and that you'll definitely pay for it, and sadly Nintendo fans will because they're blinded by nostalgia and brand loyalty. It doesn't even end there, by the way, because the Kalos starters are also getting Mega Evolutions as you're seeing on screen as well. Wow, they look great, don't they? Don't you want to Mega Evolve your Kalos starter, guys? Well, you could, but if you just buy the base game at $80, you still won't have them and you're actually screwed and can't access these Megas either, as Games Radar reports here. Pokemon Legends ZA locks the Mega Evolutions for the Kalos starters to ranked seasons, making them impossible to get without paying for Nintendo Switch Online. I'm not kidding, that's real unfortunately, but if you want these new Mega Evolutions for the Kalos starters, here's the official Nintendo post about it, saying that these 3 new Megas were discovered, by the way. Oh wow, how convenient. You'll just have to buy the game, which is $80 American. Then you'll have to pay $30 on top, so you're at $110 American before taxes if you want the whole experience, just so you can access, Mega Raichu and whatnot and more. Then you'll need Nintendo Switch Online, which as you can see here starts at $30 American per year, just so you can access the online features of the many games that you can play with it. So now that if you bought everything, you're at $140 American in purchases. That's before taxes or your region, which is probably even more depending on where you live. And now, congratulations guys, you get the full Pokemon ZA Legends experience at launch when it drops. Wow, great for you. Which is, almost double the price of the base game, just that you can gain access to all the features that should have been available at launch that have all just been, shaved off the main game, so they can essentially almost charge you double to play it instead. What's extra greedy is that $30 online membership doesn't even get you all the features that the Switch 2 has to offer you. In actuality, you'll have to pay even more for the expansion tier if you want to also play Nintendo GameCube, Nintendo 64, and Game Boy Advance games as well, as you can see here on their list. Wow, that's almost the price of a full game, and you better pay up because you need to play those ranked seasons to get your Mega Evolution stones for the Kalos starters as well. Like as seen here in Season 1, you can get the Greninite, and Delphoxite in Season 2. I don't even know if I'm saying those right, doesn't matter. But those are real words that exist apparently. So if your online subscription ends between seasons, well, too bad for you, you can't access these rewards anymore. Does that mean by not being able to financially afford all of these mega evolution stones and benefits that you were genuinely putting yourself at a disadvantage against other players when it comes to Pokemon online battles? Absolutely. Is it scummy and forces diehard fans to open their wallets to give Nintendo more money simply because they want you to? Also, absolutely. What's extra hilarious is that the Nintendo Switch Online membership gains you access to online functionalities with your games, obviously. But the extra swift kick to the balls is that Nintendo's Online is, and this is funny, it's just peer-to-peer anyways. So you're basically paying Nintendo money to let your console that you don't even own, because Nintendo can break it at any point if you go against their TOS, so that your Switch can connect to another person's Switch, and making your Switches like servers instead of, oh, I don't know, an actual dedicated server instead, like many other platforms. Yes, this is all scummy, it's honestly terrible, but like I said, the days of Satoru Iwata are well over, and Nintendo has officially become one of the gaming scummiest companies in record time. I mean, it doesn't even end there. Remember when Nintendo re-released Super Mario 64 Sunshine and Galaxy in a bundle on Switch a few years back? It was called Super Mario 3D All-Stars. And then you had the Washington Post making articles like this one titled, "Classic Mario games are coming to Switch for a limited time, baffling fans." Well, why are they baffling fans? Well, if you didn't know, it's because 3D All-Stars was a limited run of the game. Like, if you didn't buy it when it came out, you lost out, and you can no longer buy it from Nintendo's online stores officially anymore. They legitimately made it a collector's item that sold at full price. They gave you 3 games that are running on emulators, by the way. So it's the cheapest version possible of each of these games to produce for them, and then ask people to buy the game before it artificially ran out. Yes, Nintendo preyed on their fans' FOMO, or fear of missing out, and it definitely paid off, because 3D All-Stars, by the way, as seen here, has reportedly sold about 9 million units on Switch due to this scummy tactic alone. I wish I was kidding, but I am not. That's right, it made hundreds of millions of dollars for Nintendo, and again, you can't buy this anymore from them even if you wanted to. I mean, you can buy it, but it's being sold by third parties via sites like Amazon. For example, in Canada, as you can see here, you can buy 3D All-Stars 5 years after its release date, mind you, for the eye-watering price of $304 before taxes. Wow, what a steal. Thanks, Nintendo. That's right, it costs you almost an entire Switch 2 bundle price-wise to get just All-Stars now, but don't worry if you missed that release. You can now buy one of those games in that release in Mario Galaxy with another game in Super Mario Galaxy 2 bundled as well that's coming. You just got to give Nintendo $100 as seen here for Galaxy 1 and 2. Totally not a rip-off and anti-consumer at all, right? Of course not. They're now selling 1/3 of a game collection you can't buy anymore for more money than that collection was when it first released. And you're getting less games in this second collection, by the way, too. Wow, thanks Nintendo, very cool. One less game and it costs more. But how does this keep happening? It's very simple. The fans keep allowing it to happen is the problem. They're like literal sheeps that are being fed snacks as Nintendo shears the wool from their bodies at the farm, and they are completely willing to give into Nintendo's every demand as long as more nice snacks get tossed into their noggins. Nintendo fans are genuinely some of the most exploited video game consumers on planet Earth, and it's really not even close. When Nintendo is not charging you $100 for less games and bundles, they're pushing you to buy DLC right out of the gate for almost half the price of the base game in Pokemon Legends alone to get the full experience, and knowing full well that they could have included that DLC, but why would they? They know that you're gonna buy it anyways because you're such a good little sheep. Here, have another snack while they gather more of the wool while they're at it right behind your ears and stuff. And if not that, Nintendo was also trying to completely destroy and take advantage of the entire modding community to get what they want out of lawsuits that they launched at Palworld so that they'll win. They're actually willing to burn down the entire modding community and its future, which will stifle game creation and innovation since, like I showed you already, that such huge concepts that have changed the industry were born within the modding community alone, all because Nintendo is butthurt and they want Palworld gone because it, you know, I guess endangers their sales. Remind me again why this company is considered player or even family friendly. It's not like they need to do much to get their fans money anyways, because Nintendo fans will buy anything this company makes no matter what. I mean, Donkey Kong Bonanza came out, and shortly after release as seen here, Nintendo released a roguelite DLC mode for Donkey Kong shortly after launch. Bonanza, by the way, came out in the end of July 2025. This Emerald expansion arrived not even 2 months later after release of the game in September, and oh, by the way, pay? Of course not, it isn't free either. As seen here, this DK Island and Emerald Rush DLC will set you back $30 Canadian or $20 American. Wow, amazing. A DLC that is like 1/3 the price of the game pretty much for so-called new content to a game that just came out. It's totally not just more shaved off content positioned to force Nintendo players to open their wallets again after just buying the game or anything. Of course not. And if it's not that, you got websites shilling for Nintendo about how the Switch 2 makes your older games that run like dog water somehow now look and run better, like Pokemon Violet and Scarlet as seen here. Wow, 60 FPS for an older Pokemon game. You just need a whole new console to make it hit that, unlike the console that it originally came out on. Incredible. Look, I could just keep going, but I'm pretty sure this video is long enough already, and for both of our sanities, I think this is plenty enough for now. Maybe I'll make a sequel to this video one day, who knows. Don't worry, if I do make a sequel, I won't charge you an arm and a leg to watch it. All I ask for you to do is like the video. Thank you. But what do you think about all of this? Is Nintendo past the point of no return now? Can they ever fix their public image? What about wanting to burn down the modding community to own Palworld, or the myriad of anti-consumer practices that I presented in this video? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. I'll see you next time. And oh yeah, screw Nintendo.